Welcome to my video, friends. In today's video we are going to be doing some bead embroidery. And so firstly we got to find an image that you want to embroider. So I just went online and I found this super cute bunny from Alice in Wonderland. So what I've done next is I found this interfacing fabric and I've doubled it up. So I just kind of folded it in half just to make it more durable. We're doing 2 layers. So I just kind of sketched the bunny and the image here on the interfacing just lightly with pencil. You could use pen, but I prefer pencil because it's easier to like cover up. And if you're not very good at drawing, you could print your image and just have it underneath and trace it through the interfacing. So I'm going to show you how I would go about creating this super cute bunny from Alice in Wonderland. So this is a combination of both a thread work, beads, and there's also a few embellishments here and flatbacks. So I am going to use a hoop to hold my project in place as I work. This will make it much easier when doing embroidery. So we're going to start with the bunny's fur, and I'm using white embroidery thread. So what I'm doing is splitting this in half. So this is actually 6 strands, and I'm just splitting it in half so that there are 3 strands instead of 6. And that's what I have on the hoop right now. So right now I'm just going to create long strides, about 3 millimeters to 5 millimeters. So I'm just trying to make each strand a different size so you get that texture, that fluffy texture of the bunny. But I am trying to make each strand go the same direction. It's always good to check your work from the back as well. So it probably would have been a better idea if I used stiffener that did not have grid lines on it, but this is all I had for the moment. Okay, so I'm just mapping out where I'm going to glue on the flat backs. So I like to do that first before adding the beads. because then we probably don't need to add as many beads after. So just looking at what I have here, I think this flat back would be too much, just a little bit too big for this project. So I don't think I'm going to use that one. I do have these tiny, tiny champagne hearts, so I think that might work instead. We glue one in each corner. So what I'm going to use is this E6000 glue to glue on the flat backs. And I do like to glue on the flat backs first before sewing on the beads. So this is a good first step. I kind of just jumped ahead and worked on the feet, but ideally you want to glue on the flat backs first. So here we go. So I have attached nylon string and a beading needle onto the project so I can start adding the beads. So the first beads I'm going to add are the larger beads. So starting with his eyeball. So this beading needle is, the ones I use are the 10 to 13. I use the really, really fine ones for this type of work. So I have a black bead I'm gonna add. And this is just nylon thread. Classic beading thread. So this bead is a little bit oval, just perfect. So it is a good idea to start with the larger beads and embellishments, the flat backs. It's good to start with those first. If you can, then it's just easier to fill in with the smaller details later. Okay, so I just finished one ear and now I have to work on the next ear. However, my thread is over here where the needle is. So instead of just jumping across to work on this ear, what you have to do is work throughout your project. So I actually have to sew through the ear and go down into the head and continue working the other ear. because don't forget at the end we're gonna have to cut this all out with scissors, and you don't want to be cutting across threads. So always work your threads and work behind, always within your project. The gold edging would be really pretty here, so I'm just adding some gold details. Make sure it's nice and taut in the back. I definitely need to fix my nails. My nails look terrible right now. Sorry, it's a very stormy day today. That's why there's a lot of shadow. Oh, but we have to keep working. Okay, so I'm just skipping this piece of the image right now, and I'm continuing along this side. So I'm skipping this piece because when we have the back, there's going to be a backing, and I want to edge the whole thing with the gold thread. Well, at least most of it, I'll edge it in the gold thread. And I think it'll be nicer to do, I think it will look best to do that at the end. So we're going to use beads now to fill in the coat. So now it's getting exciting. So I'm going to start with the top left. I'll leave a little space to edge and continue with the gold thread. So these are round ivory seed beads. Very pretty. Start by adding 3. So you're pretty much just coloring in your shape here with beads. So I like to go back, let's go back about 2 beads. Just so everything fits really snugly. It doesn't look messy. Okay, I'm gonna go back through the last 2 beads. So I think I'm going to continue just by adding 3 beads at a time. Then you just kind of pull your thread taut. So we're using the E6000 glue again. Let's put some on there. So I just burnt the edges of this ribbon. So this is going to be his scroll that he will hold right here. I'm going to use the E6000 glue as well to hold this in place. I'm going to roll it and just dab some glue just here and there. Is that too much? I don't know. Just gonna keep adding details, and I'll stop when I think it's ready to go. That's the best thing with these projects. You could just keep adding details to give it more character, and that's what makes this fun. This gold thread just adds some really nice details. I really like it. Trying not to pull the other thread as I do this. Just kind of have to be very gentle. So I'm going to add this gold thread just along the one side of this card or banner. And I'll leave the rest with beads. So what I'm doing is adding 3 beads at a time. Let's see, so I'm doing kind of like a straight stitch. Just adding them in a straight row. So make sure it's not loose. And then I go back into the hoop with my needle. And I want to sew back through the last 2 beads added. So I'm gonna come back up through the hoop right before that second bead. So right there. Yeah. And then I'm gonna go through those last 2 beads once again. And at this point, I don't have to go back into the hoop. We can keep adding beads at this point. There we go. I just want to make sure it's all snug. Nothing loose. So because this is a short space, I can even do 2 beads at a time. But it looks like there's space here to add 1 more bead before the heart. Where are you going, Missy? She is having a ball. Yeah, these projects are really fun. You can add as much detail as you like. You kind of go like crazy, really. Just want to make sure my beads don't curve, you know what I mean? Make sure they're all like parallel to the stiffener. She can only scoot backwards. That's the only direction she knows how to go. I love the combination of beads and embroidery in this project. Kind of blends well together. So now I'm just doing stitches from the bottom to the top and just side by side, kind of like in a trump shape. So this area I will start doing gradually larger stitches. Okay, so I did a bit more work. Fortunately, this part did not come out the way I was planning to. But that's okay, we're gonna move on because I need to get this project done now. So you could really continue and just add as much detail as you like. I think I'm going to just wrap up and I probably won't add too much more detail. So once we cut out the image, I will probably just edge parts of the project in the gold thread. And I think that's about it. I think we're almost there. I might add just a little bit more detail, but for the most part, I don't think I'm gonna add too much more now. Okay, so it's time to cut the image out. So we're gonna cut it out of the stiffener. So you get out of the hoop first. Okay, so be very careful when you're cutting out your image. You don't want to cut into the image, of course, and you don't want to cut any threads from the back. So I have left my nylon string on and my gold embroidery thread because I do want to touch up some things after. But I would recommend just tying it right off at this point. All right, let's just start then. So take these, put these off to the side. I'll start from the bottom. It's probably best to do this with like smaller scissors. These I think are way too big. You know those small crafting scissors? It's probably the best. Or if you have like sewing snippers, you could use those snippers as well. Now this part is a little tricky to do on camera. So I did end up accidentally cutting the nylon thread as I was cutting the image out. So it's probably a good idea just to cut all your threads before, because it would have been nice to have a bit more slack to tie the knot off. Anyways, I salvaged it. This one I'll try not to cut. Okay, so now my image is all cut out. So looking good. So the next step I'm gonna do, so I have some more stiffener, and you can tell that one side is like more soft and one side is more rough. So we're gonna attach the rough side to the back. So we're gonna glue this piece to here. So we're gonna create like a backing to cover up all of our stitching and also to like reinforce it a bit more. We'll leave my edging, so the gold I'm gonna edge parts of it, so I'm gonna let it just like stick out in the corner here. I'm gonna use my E6000 glue. I'm just gonna dab some glue at the back of the image. Okay, once you think you have enough glue on there, I'm going to gently press down. So I'm just going to cut this out now. So cut out the backing. This looks pretty good. You know what I was thinking? So I was thinking it probably would have been a good idea to use suede or vinyl or leather as a backing. Probably would have been a more polished backing for this project, but just for the purposes of this project, I'm going to continue with the stiffener, and just because I have to do some more touch-ups on this project. Happy with the way it's turning out so far. Okay, I finished cutting out the backing. So it's looking pretty good, but I do wish I used a suede or some other kind of material, but that's okay. We're just gonna continue. Still looks pretty good. We used the E6000 glue. I could even go in there and just touch it up in the corners. Okay, so to edge the project, we're gonna do something similar to a blanket stitch. So I have my thread at the top of the project right now, and it's gonna wrap around the edge just like by a few millimeters, like maybe 2, maybe 3. It's gonna go around, and then we're gonna bring the needle up from the bottom to the top, and then gently pull it through. So this thread I'm using is quite thick, so I have to be very gentle. Yeah, if you edge your project this way all the way around, it's actually a really nice finishing touch. You just keep on like wrapping it and wrapping it. You get this nice edge. So I'm just repeating the edging now with the white thread, only with the feet and the ears. Okay, so I'm almost done here. So what I'm going to do is add a brooch pin on the back. So I'm going to make this a brooch. So just got one of these pins. I'm going to attach it with the E6000, of course. I think this would be a perfect pin to add to a bag or a sash. Anywhere you want, really. So E6000 glue, you can find this in any hardware store really, or Canadian Tire, Walmart, they all carry it. So I've added a few more details to the project. Just a little bit of this fringe in the corner here. So I think my project's now complete. So this embroidery project, I had finished it as a brooch, which I really liked. Put on a bag or a jean jacket would be really cool. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this project and learned a few techniques so you can make your own bead/thread embroidery project. I hope you liked and subscribed, and we'll see you next time, friends. Thank you. Bye.